start. So my name is Piotr Migdal, and I would like to talk about bottom approach to education and science. And I am a PhD student in ICFO, Barcelona, doing quantum physics, but also engaged in other activities, especially in education, not only. So I would like to start with what's bottom-up approach, and say something about some projects in education and science. So when it comes to typical approach of organizing things, it's top-down. So government sees that there's a problem, it gives money to people, people decide how to spend money, they put restrictions, and it goes a few levels until it reaches someone who does something. In general, there's a lot of money, there's a lot of support from institutions, but the problem is that it goes with restrictions. So you are not free what you can do, and also everything takes time. So even if everyone agrees, it might take years until you can change something. And the thing is that it's not good for risk activities. For one, we don't know what you should expect without something that looks good on the paper, because no matter how good it is, it needs to look good on paper to be able to work in that system. But it's a good system for coordination and also for some stuff support. But for other things, sometimes it's better to work with bottom-up approach. When in some sense, different people have their ideas, their projects, and naturally, the best ones survive and gather more attention from others, both peers and some more serious organizations. And the plus is that you are very, very free and very, very fast. Of course, at cost of, no money, so basically it's only yours or perhaps your family and friends. And this is a good room for testing things. So for testing grounds, it's possible to change something, to try something totally out of the box. So almost no one is going to believe that it actually makes sense. And it's even by passion. So as we are not paid, we are only going to do it if it's really, really good. And such thing is usually the best thing for creativity. You cannot say, okay, you are a great poet, write a few great poems on something the next week. It doesn't work that way. The same thing is with almost all innovation. And also when it comes to efficiency, some people think that, okay, the bigger things get, they're more efficient. Sometimes it's the case, not always. Sometimes actually the bigger things get, you need to have more people just managing communication between things. So this is nice research on administrative workers, different institutes in universities. It turns out that bigger the thing is, there's higher percentage of administrative workers, just because they need to manage communication between departments.
Excuse me.
Sure.
I understand what N support is. What is N academic? How does it?
I don't know what it exactly, just things like professors, PhD students, postdocs, so academic workers, as opposed to everything else. So this is a plot of number of academic workers versus administration, maintenance, etc.
Okay.
Management, etc. So when it comes to science, there are many things happening. Just right now, there are many things happening in the bottom-up way in science. It's really changing. I don't want to spend too much time on the traditional way of doing science. That basically, for all of you, like you are doing what superior things that tell you, or even if they don't tell you anything, what is considered important by superiors. Also, it's like it's a top-down thing. But there are some costs of it. So when something is very originally creative, it can be easily killed. So this plot is probability of getting a grant versus originality of the proposal. So in some sense, it needs to be proven that it works, etc. So you need to put on paper. But there are some things, elementary things that are changing now, which are treated in a very different way. So for example, I don't know if any of you does math, because there is a great site called Math for Flow, just get the bottom up, just for asking questions in serious mathematics. So quite a few fields medalists contribute there, but basically it doesn't respect any hierarchy. So there's no difference between a talented high school student and a fields medalist as long as answer is good. And in some sense, there are many projects that go around the system. Also, actually, I tried once to do some similar thing for theoretical physics. At the first one, it gets some attention, but it turns out that, it didn't work out. But still, it was a very good attempt, in that sense that also bottom-up is a good way to just see something, if something works at all. Otherwise, I would avoid a lot of money continuing something that doesn't work. But my main focus here is education. So I want to say something about education and how it works. Before actually going to anything related to bottom-up, I think there is one important rule in education, exactly the same as in medicine. First, do no harm, which may sound obvious, but in some sense the system works totally in a way. It forgets that it's still natural. People have initiated skills to learn things, but suddenly you can create an environment in which they are good at it, and we provide a lot of support for them, but you cannot learn from them, and you cannot push knowledge except very, very trivial to their heads. So in some sense there is a holistic picture of how high school works. Perhaps because this is like the world, well, I don't know, 50 years ago, also the student was not motivated, it was not related to job opportunities, it was not related to students' talents, so that's how it works. But what you can do? So instead of giving more general principles, some ideas, I would like to describe one of my attempts. So we might, for example, quite a few years, with my friends, I have been organizing a camp for gifted high school students. And it's like 10 days, around 35 students, it's like 10 to 50 tutors on site. And we developed a form in which most of the staff were conducted in workshops, 3 hours for 3 days. That's it works for this kind. And what is, and it was just to give some taste of topics. Well, depending on the field, usually the topics were not trivial. So almost all the time, tutors participated in courses in other fields. So if someone is in physics, things in mathematics were ambitious for students. Plus, what is even more important is other activities. So not only stuff that they were doing workshops, also things like bringing books you want to share with others, or inspiring others by some projects or some talks. And what's also crucial for us is to set everyone equal. So, for example, everyone, including the organizers, paid exactly the same amount for participation, which is basically for food and for accommodation. And also, except for some duties for tutors, there are no other differences. And in that way, it turns out that people treat each other very differently. There is no Stanford experiment when there are two groups of people trying to find each other. It's just a totally new scenario. And also, if anyone has any idea, we try to encourage, to persuade, to share with others. So we don't want to confine them in a form that we have created. Because everything changes, and also, well, everyone has the talent. So one thing I like to tell a lot is lockpicking workshop. So one high school student tried to teach everyone lockpicking. So I guess it's the most important skill I have ever learned. So and this is another example. One high school student giving a very serious introduction to reverse engineering. So we have a program, how to hack it, to change it, how to learn what it actually does. So it's like, you see dim lights, so some kind of hacker scenario. And it also was not planned, it just happened. And also, this is one high school student who built a machine that plays with you rock, paper, scissors. I never remember the order, but it's but you can. And because to qualification, it's like, for us qualification is as important as the camp itself. Not only to filter people, it's not only like some kind of IQ test or whatever, but we want to see, just to take people who are genuinely interested in something, and also make it as something for learning. So we expect that no one is going to solve problems just by sitting, solving and ascending. It's a lot of effort, a lot of things to be learned just to get there. And also we have approach of not looking or not asking at any kinds of recommendation letters or grades, because especially for students, it turns out that they are much more related to the environment and other stuff, and the grading, the actual skills for the things we want to talk about. And when it comes to lessons learned, there are many, but one of the most important is just to make it a thing that is good for what it's doing. So we don't want to have it as something which is good because it's popular, it's cool, because other people think it's fine. And also that when it comes to doing things, I'm very, very sure that if we have started trying to change the system and like education, or trying to get some, at the very beginning, is it supported? Well, it doesn't work. You would get frustrated, etc., etc. And now it works very fine. Now it actually we get financial support from your city, but after proving that it works. So once people see that it works, usually there's no problem. Okay, and there's also a lot of time for some interesting games, cards. And also, when it comes to Dixit project, so basically why bottom up? And here's the answer. And for me, also it's one of the activities that gave me the biggest amount of energy. And when it comes to starting or doing things, of course there are compromises. So for example, we wanted to have space almost for free. But the crucial thing is to do compromises of things that are not crucial. So we want to have total freedom in things that we teach, in students' freedom, but in other, well, into sacrifice them. And one of the good things of such things is, camps is that because of that, other conferences and series camps have taken place. So for example, it's like I have started a conference series where people can talk about anything for 20 minutes. So in some sense, there are many opportunities after finishing studies. There are many places when you can specialize very, very deeply. There are not many when you can have people from different backgrounds. So like at the other side, there are people from different fields. It heals even more because there are also people from humanities, actually not yet from arts. And something which is trivial for people from one place can be very enlightening for others. And just to give some examples of topics. So our approach it's off topic learning, so well, the name explains what it is that there's nothing which is off topic. Things that can be just boring or not interesting. And if you're just interested, very likely in doing next edition. What's the best is that almost all the time after a talk there is something like 20 minutes of discussions. Spot on. So like I've never experienced such thing like 10 times in a row. It's also a picture more or less describing how we do it in practice. The room is not always deep, but okay. Some is saying something. And when it comes to critique, quite a few times I get critique, okay, just why are you so impatient? You should wait until time is right. But the thing is like, of course, sometimes that, I need to wait, I need to learn more things. But if I have the right skills and I feel there's need, I think that actually waiting is the worst thing. because motivation, passion is not a resource that stays there. Usually it gets disappeared. Sometimes actually opportunities change. And if people ask me, okay, why do you do that? Because it's not proven that it works. Okay, it's like it's exactly why I want to test it. But I think exactly is what should happen. If you know that something is going to happen, if something is going to succeed, either it's not that innovation, or we are working below your skill level. If you are not failing, you are working below your skill level. And what I have a question for you. But when it comes to this camp, we grew a bit. We don't want to grow more because below 55 people interact with each other, asking if they were interacting with a crowd more than one-to-one. But it gave birth to other camps, other things like this Carrion. But the question is how to replicate. So we believe that it's nothing specific to mathematics, computer science, physics, and also it's nothing specific to Poland, where it is. The question is it possible to make that way, and I don't know, maybe share more information about organization, so we can inspire others to create something similar or different. So